All right, so here is another episode of Startup Savior, and looking at a particular startup, an Australian startup called Xinja. And this was a fintech startup. I will explain the story, what happened with it, why it went, why it failed, and all that. A company in Australia started as a banking app. You know, there are many sort of banking apps that are coming up in every country these days, and the idea is that the traditional banking is very archaic, it's not very user friendly. So a lot of these apps, what they do is they license the banking license from a traditional bank, and then they make it very easy for the consumers to consume the banking services. And on top of that, they provide some incentives which are very beneficial to the consumers. So obviously, you know, the banking is a need for everyone, but in this case the company, surprisingly enough, was able to raise about $140 million. So there's a lot of money that was available to these founders. But what happened was, which is a typical story for any founders, specifically people who raise a lot of money very quickly, the business model was not validated. The business model was not validated in the sense, first of all, they were targeting millennials, they were targeting younger audience, the younger customers. So they did not really understand the behavior of the younger audience, and the product market fit was definitely not there. More importantly, the startup raised a lot of money, and when startup founders, they have a lot of money in the bank, what they tend to do is they tend to spend a lot of money. So their business model was flawed in the sense that they started to take deposits from the customers, and now they had to pay high interest on that deposit to the customer, but they never started to give out loans, for which they would have charged interest, fees, and whatnot. So that's the incoming revenue. And without any incoming revenue, they kept spending more and more in paying out their customers. Not only that, they actually doubled down on this strategy by a lot of frivolous expenses. So huge marketing campaign, they spend millions on marketing, and that's one thing that happens easily when you have lots of money in the bank. It goes straight into marketing without really understanding who you're talking to. And the next thing they did was they moved into a fancy building. Once again, a lot of money floating around in the bank, and people get restless. How can they spend that money and raise their image? And in this process, they moved into a fancy office building, spent a lot on real estate. But if you think about it, none of these things really contribute to the success of the customer. None of these things actually provide any value to the consumers. And so if you are a founder who is trying to figure out how to optimize your cash flow, how to make your business sustainable, focus on the things that impact the clients, the customer. Do not focus on the things that raise your self-image or give you an ego boost. That is a total waste of time and resources. So this is a typical mistake that a lot of founders make, whether you have a lot of money in the bank or not. So my advice is, be very, very diligent and listen to your consumers, to your clients, to your customers. Understand their pain points, understand what they really need from you, and then focus on providing the best experience, the best benefits that you can provide to your clients by serving them. So these are some of the things that we coach our clients on. We take them through this journey that the client or the customer is going to take with them, so that they can walk in their shoes, they can really understand their customers, and they can build a sustainable business.